Hello everyone and welcome back to TowerGate. It is TowerGate day number 1050, Friday, February 21st, 2020. Thank you so much for tuning in. Alrighty, let's get to the news. We have a lot to cover. So it looks like the corrupt judge, Amy Berman Jackson, has sentenced Roger Stone to 40 months in jail and a $20,000 fine. Of course, it appears he's still under the gag order. Now, I guess that's because there's going to be an appeal to the original case. Because, I mean, once you've been tried, found guilty, and sentenced, that's usually the end of it. As far as the court's concerned, I'm not aware of any time where someone's been under a gag order at the end of a trial. I mean, it's over at that point. So, the fact that Stone, when asked to make a comment after the end of the court hearing, and he had no comment. So, you know Roger Stone. If he didn't have a gag order on him, he would have a lot to say. So we can assume he has a gag order on him. And that must be because the case is going to be appealed. He's going for a new trial. And he should go for a new trial, and I certainly hope he will get a new trial. I understand that this coming week there's going to be hearings with this juror. And it looks like Judge Amy Berman Jackson is still going to be the judge, although it appears that there might be a change of venue. The case might be moved out of D.C. and into Florida, which is where Stone originally wanted to have the trial held. So it looks like the trial will pick up in Florida, but it still will be the same judge. But Judge Jackson also used the court hearing to criticize President Trump, A.G. Barr, and she ripped Stone to pieces. And in fact accused him of covering up for Trump. And she also said that the Russia hoax was not phony. I guess she didn't read the IG report. The Russia hoax was phony. Uncle Bob the Executioner proved that there was no truth to the Russia hoax, and then Horowitz put out a report showing how they cooked the whole thing up. So this woman is either incredibly stupid, ignorant, corrupt, or all of the above. My God. She needs to be removed from the court. What do we have here? You're not going to believe this one. We have Eric Holder. Eric Holder, Obama's former wingman, Attorney General, attacking Paul Sperry on Twitter, telling him to shut the hell up. Yeah, I'm pretty sure Paul Sperry won't like that. I expect we'll hear a response from him soon. But it's not just that with Eric Holder. He's also now calling for term limits for Supreme Court justices. Eric Holder wants term limits for Supreme Court justices. That's funny. I've never heard him call for that before. And he also wants to limit the president to only being able to appoint 2 justices per term. Now, previously, Holder had suggested expanding the number of justices on the Supreme Court. He wants to monkey with the system. Well, good luck, because it's in the Constitution, and it would take a 2/3 vote in the House, 2/3 vote in the Senate, and 3/4 of the states to ratify in order to do that. And I don't think that's going to happen. And why is he saying this? Well, he's saying this because he's terrified, like all the demo commies, knowing good and well they're not going to be able to defeat Trump in 2020. They're not going to be able to drive him out of office with another coup attempt because the first 2 failed, and I don't think anyone has the patience for a third one. Even demo commies don't have the patience for a third one. The Keystone commies, Schiff, Madam Botox, Pelosi galore, and the Penguin gave it their best shot, right along with Uncle Bob the Executioner. Everybody has tried everything. You're not going to defeat Trump, not by coup, not by any other way, including at the ballot box. So Eric Holder and his friends know that Trump is certainly going to appoint a new Supreme Court justice to replace Ginsburg in his second term, and maybe there might be 2, maybe even 3 more Supreme Court appointments before Trump leaves. Now, one of them might be Clarence Thomas, who is, of course, a conservative. But you know that he'll replace... The thing about Trump that's different is that wimps like Bush and people like that, the way they look at a Supreme Court nomination is if it's a liberal judge or a somewhat moderate judge or whatever, they think it's their obligation to nominate another liberal or moderate judge, to keep the court the same. Trump's not like that. Trump's not going to go there. If Trump gets an opportunity to appoint 3 more Supreme Court justices, they will all be constitutionalist, originalist judges. He's not going to appoint any left-wing judges, even if he's replacing a liberal judge. He will replace a liberal judge with a conservative one. And if he can replace 2 liberal judges with 2 conservative judges, that's exactly what he will do. Now, I think that Ginsburg and Thomas will likely be gone from the court somewhere in Trump's second term. And there could even be a third. You never know how these things can go. But you can bet that Trump will appoint really good justices. He's done great so far. So, in fact, Gorsuch has just been great. Really surprised. I mean, I knew he'd be pretty good, but he's actually been very good. And we don't have enough in on Kavanaugh yet. I don't think he's quite as conservative as Gorsuch, but as far as we can tell, he's pretty good. But this is what's really got Eric Holder and the left wing. This is what's really driving them nuts. It's not just all of Trump's policies, which, if they ever take back the House or Congress or, the White House again, they know that these policies can be reversed, executive orders can be reversed, laws can be nullified and changed, and all these sorts of things. But Supreme Court justices are there forever. And these federal judges that he's appointing are there forever. And he's already appointed 180, and it's likely that if he gets, and I believe he will, I'm confident he will, get a second term, by the end of his second term, he could have appointed, up to 450, 500 judges. So that's a huge deal. So it's really, I think, more than anything else for the demo commies, it's the fact that the damage Trump can do to the liberals through the appointment of federal judges and Supreme Court justices. That's something that lasts a long, long, long time. And they'll be still around ruling on cases long after Trump has left this world. So, because he also is smart enough that you notice he appoints young judges. Gorsuch and Kavanaugh are fairly young. They're going to be around for a long time. And you can bet that when he gets a chance to appoint another judge and another judge, he's not going to appoint, old judges. If you look at these judges that Trump's appointing, even these federal judges, these guys are all fairly young. So he's not appointing a bunch of really old judges. He's appointing young judges who are very conservative. So this is what terrifies the Democrats the most, is the long-term effects of Trump and the judges. So that's my take on that. As far as Eric Holder is concerned, let's keep in mind, in terms of the coup and all the things that went on, we know that those illegal searches through the 702 database, NSA database, those about searches, we know from what we learned from the FISA report from Judge Collier that went back, that stuff went all the way back to at least 2012. 2012, which would put you into the Eric Holder Attorney General era. And so I think that there's probably some fear there for Eric Holder, because remember, Mike Rogers, former head of the NSA, has been a very, cooperating witness with Durham's investigation. And Mike Rogers knows all this about the 702 queries and how far they go back, and even the names of the people who were being unmasked and being queried upon. So Durham knows, certainly by now, from what he's learned from Rogers, that it wasn't just, all this stuff that went on in 2015, 2016, 2017 against Trump. It actually goes back, predates all that, as far as the illegal use of 702 queries. That goes back to at least 2012, and that puts you in Eric Holder's time of service, or lack of, as the wingman for Barack Hussein Obama. And that may be something else that's making him a little squeamish. Well, let's talk about the Demo-Commie debate. As you know, I cannot watch the Demo-Commie debate, but I heard it was so good that I had to go back and watch about an hour of clips just to check it out. And then I spent about another hour just reading comments and looking at videos, and much of it on the left-wing side, to get a good take on what went down at the debates in Nevada. Now, obviously, it was off the hook. It was crazy. It was wild. And I guess the thing I noticed most about it from watching about an hour worth of clips is that it appears to me that they didn't lay a glove on Trump last night. They really didn't go after Trump at all. They appeared to me to be spending all their time really, really going after each other, and specifically targeting Bloomberg. Especially Pocahontas, Hiawatha, Elizabeth Warren seemed to be the one who really was the one who targeted Bloomberg the most. But, I mean, he was getting it from everywhere. I mean, I think the only high point of the night for me was when Bloomberg said the following thing to Bernie Sanders. He said, quote, "We're not going to throw out capitalism. We tried that. Other countries tried that. It's called communism, and it just didn't work." Now, I thought, oh yeah, but the audience actually booed him. Bloomberg got booed when he said that communism does not work. And that was a shot at Bernie. And that's about the only good shot that Bloomberg got in. I guess when you look at this guy, he just looks so arrogant and egotistical, and he doesn't connect with people. It's like he's, it's hard to describe him. He's kind of like a Mr. Mannequin or something. I don't know. He's like a cardboard cutout caricature of a billionaire. I mean, exactly what you would think about a billionaire. That's Michael Bloomberg, like detached or something, So, I mean, that's probably the biggest thing that's hurting him, because if he could connect with people, he could probably overcome the assaults, because he's got a lot of money. But he just doesn't have that, that thing that you got to have if you want to, win elections. You got to be able to connect with people. I don't care how much money you have. At some point, on some level, there has to be, people have to feel like they have some connection to you, or, even with a lot of money, it's just, hard to get people to vote for you if they don't feel like they have some connection to you, or unless the voter thinks that you care about them or even consider them. And Bloomberg, you just get the idea that he just, he's got a very oligarch sort of attitude, and elitist, and, just, I don't know. There's something about the guy. I don't think I know he's got all the money, and he's in a really weak field, and the game is going to be rigged in his favor if it can be, but I just don't think he's going to get it done because of his personality more than anything else. I just get the impression he doesn't like people, really. I don't think he's a people person. And one thing, if you look at all the presidents, most of the presidents, they're all fairly charismatic people who connect at some level with their base. Whether it's Barack Obama connected with his base, President Trump obviously connects with his base, Clinton connected with his base, you just go on and on. Reagan definitely connected with his base. Most presidents do have an ability to connect with their base. And if they don't, and they win, it's only because their opponent was weaker than they were, as is the case with Bush running against Kerry. And Bush 41, the reason that he won his race, he ran against Dukakis, obviously. But, I mean, people kind of just gave Bush 41, of course, he didn't get a second term, but they gave him that victory because they assumed he would be Reagan's third term. And, of course, it wasn't anything like Reagan's third term. But, yeah, the debate last night, totally off the hook. No question Trump was the big winner last night. I mean, the Democrats were just slaughtering each other. And, I mean, they were all going after each other. Bloomberg was the primary target, but they were all going after each other. And the only guy who seemed to slip out of there unscathed last night was Burisma Joe. I mean, I think he actually had a good night because he was overshadowed by everything else going on around him. I actually think he was kind of confused. I was kind of paying attention to him in a couple of the wide-angle shots when there were arguments going on, and they kept trying to jump in, and I don't think they got to answer that many questions, because every time they asked a question of one person, everyone else wanted to jump in and chime in. They were cutting each other off, and you had 6 different people trying to talk at once. I mean, it was crazy. It was really off the hook. I mean, you might say it was a pretty good debate. I mean, it was pretty entertaining, I guess. But I just was noticing Biden, and he was in the center, so I got the impression at some point he felt like he was like in the middle of the court in a tennis match, like just the barbs going back and forth, and he was just happy they weren't being directed at him. No one really attacked him very much last night. He got a few words in, but I don't think he harmed himself last night. But I think it's because there were so many attacks going on with Bloomberg and Buttigieg and Klobuchar got into a dust-up, and Bernie got into it with Pete. And so you had various people targeting one another, a lot of attacks on each other. Trump, they pretty much didn't lay a glove on, and Biden seemed to come out of it unscathed. And I actually think Biden had a pretty decent night, again, because he stayed out of the fray most of the time, and I think Bloomberg took the biggest hit last night, and that would help Biden, because obviously Bloomberg is seen as the alternative to a failing Biden. But I'll tell you, I don't know. I'm not a Democrat, so I can't really read people's minds. But just from what I've read and from the clips I watched, I think that was a devastating night for Bloomberg. And I don't know if it's the knockout punch, because he's got so much money. He can buy about anybody off that he wants. So I don't know that it was the knockout punch, but he certainly came out of it pretty bloody and bruised. Very surprised. He's not a very good counterpuncher. I mean, some of his responses were just not that good. And I got the feeling that he wasn't very well prepared for some of these things, and he should have been. I mean, he should have known that he was going to get hit on certain things, because they've been in the news over the past 2 weeks, comments that he's made. I mean, his staff and him's just, okay, they're going to hit you on this and this and this, and here's how you want to respond to this, respond to this. I don't know, though. Maybe he's so arrogant that he doesn't listen to people around him, or he winged it and didn't prepare at all. I don't know. But he didn't seem to me to be all that prepared. And almost like he was surprised that he was getting attacked. Now, it's his first debate, with this group of people, so I don't know what he was expecting, but I would think that everyone in the country knew that he was going to be targeted by everyone last night. There was a lot of things lot to work with, and I just found it kind of strange that he didn't seem to be prepared. But I don't really know that you can pick a winner last night. Again, I didn't watch the whole debate, but I did watch about an hour of clips, highlights. And I read quite a few stories afterwards. And again, the only person I can think of that you could say came along as a clear big winner was Trump. And I think you could give Biden maybe say he was a kind of a small winner, not because of anything he did for himself, but he didn't make any major snafus. And he stayed out of the fray enough that he didn't draw a lot of fire on himself. Most of the fire being directed at Bloomberg, which is the person who's trying to displace Biden. So based on the fact that Biden's biggest foe right now being Bloomberg, he's the one that took all the heat. Biden stayed out of the fray. I think that means that he probably, you could probably chalk up a little win for Biden last night. But other than that, I think all the rest of them lost in a way. I mean, they were hitting each other pretty hard. And I think Bloomberg probably the biggest loser. Again, I don't know if it's the knockout punch, but it hurt him. And I'm not sure why he did it, because he's not even on the ballot in Nevada. He's not on the ballot in South Carolina either. But I think he's going to be in that debate as well. I mean, if you're not going to be in the debate in that state, why would you subject yourself to that kind of punishment? Especially when your whole plan is to work Super Tuesday, to run a lot of ads, to use social media, and do all these other things. And if you're not good as a counterpuncher, and you're not that good at debating, why would you put yourself in that situation? I mean, I just think Bloomberg really hurt himself last night. I see no win for him there at all. We'll find out how devastating it was tomorrow when the numbers come out. And of course, we won't know until Super Tuesday how it will affect him in terms of voting. But if he has another bad debate like that in South Carolina, I expect that he's going to take a hit on Super Tuesday. Another Roger Stone related story here. It appears that this lead juror, who's prejudiced and should never have been on the jury in the Stone trial, Tamika Hart, will be grilled in a judge's hearing next week by Roger Stone's lawyers. And if a new trial is ordered by the judge, the person who will make that decision whether or not there will be a new trial will be Attorney General Barr. He will be the one to make the decision whether to retry Roger Stone or not. And again, this is going to be very interesting. I'm very much looking forward. I don't know how much we're going to find out about what goes down in that court. I don't know if it's going to be on the public record or not, but that kind of a hearing when they call in a juror to question jurors, I don't know if that's done publicly or privately. I'm assuming that's done in a private hearing. But I mean, they got her dead to rights because they got her social media. I mean, she can't deny, what she said. It's there. I mean, it's in the public record now. Social media. Trump or Stone's attorneys obviously have all that information and maybe some things we don't even know about, because they probably have a private investigator has been probably all over this since she first came out. That's the first thing you do if you're Stone's attorneys, is hire a good private investigator who lives where she does, to actually go out and hit the pavement, make some contacts, and there's probably going to be some more things that will come out in that hearing, even beyond the social media that we have. And she's screwed. I mean, I see. I mean, and again, lying to a judge as a juror like that is a federal crime. So she's in some trouble, and she is a lawyer too, by the way. She should know better. And whether or not this touches up Judge Amy Berman Jackson or not, I would think that she's got to be a little nervous about this as well, because she could be in some trouble too, depending on what Tamika Hart says. If Tamika Hart tells Stone's lawyers in their questioning that, the judge understood that she was a former Democrat activist and political candidate and had all these connections and had these opinions, then they're going to be questioning Judge Jackson about that fact. It's like, well, she says, Tamika Hart says you knew all about this and you put her on the jury anyway. So the only scapegoat, the only person who I can see that Tamika Hart can try to drop on in order to get herself off the hook is the judge. Let's see what she does. It's going to be very interesting, and this is going to occur in this upcoming week. And as I said, I think that the venue has been moved to, I think the venue for the new trial will be in Florida if there's a new trial. I don't know where this hearing is going to happen. Probably doesn't matter, because I think it's going to be probably a private hearing with Stone's lawyers questioning this juror. So we will see what happens after that. But this Stone case, I think, is going to be very interesting as it moves forward. Just like the Flynn case, I think it'll go about the same direction. It just still appears to me that there's an effort to delay the Stone case, and now we got the Flynn case. Now the Flynn case, there's now a U.S. attorney that's actually going to be looking at that. In the Stone case, of course, the lawyers quit, so now you've got new lawyers, so prosecutors. So there's a lot of things going on here. And I think ultimately, whatever happens to Stone, I think Trump will pardon him. Either way. Now, another thing from the debate last night, Chuck Todd asked Bloomberg. Now, this is how arrogant this asshole is. We have Chuck Todd asking Bloomberg if he should be allowed to earn that kind of money. I mean, are you kidding me? A journalist asking a businessman if he should be allowed to earn? I have no problem. I don't like Michael Bloomberg. I would never vote for the man. He's a lefty. I can't stand him. But he has every right to be a billionaire and have $60 billion. If he earned it legally, and as I understand he did, he obviously got a good idea. He's got Bloomberg News. He's done other things. He obviously knows how to make money. There's nothing wrong with that. I don't fault the man for the money he makes. I don't like what he's doing trying to buy a nomination. I don't like when you throw that kind of money around to buy a position in government, obviously. But as far as Chuck Todd asking Bloomberg, does he have the right? Should he be allowed to make that kind of money? That's just that tells you where the thinking is on many of these people on the left. And I guess what should be noted about this is that Chuck Todd himself, he makes $1.2 million a year. And he produces nothing. He produces nothing but bullshit. At least Bloomberg generates hundreds of millions of dollars of tax revenue. He creates many jobs. He obviously contributes. I wouldn't read his garbage, but obviously he provides a service that obviously millions of people enjoy and like to partake of. And that's, I disagree with, I wouldn't read Bloomberg and that kind of thing, but if he's, putting the stuff out there and product out there and people want to take advantage of the product, he's not killing people with his product. He's not harming people with his product. He's offering a product and a service, I guess you could say it's a product or a service. He's offering that out there. He has people who are willing to pay to obtain that product or service. He's creating jobs. There's nothing wrong with what Michael Bloomberg's doing and making money. I don't like what he's doing with his money, interfering in the political system, but to just go after him for earning this money and asking should he be allowed when here we have Chuck Todd making $1.2 million and he does nothing. He produces nothing. He creates no jobs. He does nothing except for run fake news. He's the one that's doing the harm to the country. What a arrogant son of a bitch. Man, oh man. I just hate these liberals. I really do. Well, it looks like the Covington Catholic students have sued Sean King, Kevin Cruz, Maggie Haberman, that's Hillary's girlfriend, Maggie Haberman, Anna Navarro, oh yes, I'm very happy about that, and Clara Jeffrey. Yes, the Covington Catholic students have sued Sean King, Kevin Cruz, Maggie Haberman, Anna Navarro, and Clara Jeffrey. Good. I hope he shakes them down for millions. Or I hope they shake them down for millions. It's some of these other kids from Covington Catholic that were also slandered by these people. Well, it appears that President Trump has yanked another swamp creature out of the godforsaken swamp in the District of Criminals. This swamp creature is named John Rood. And you want to talk about a swamp creature, this is the absolute definition of a swamp creature. John Rood, R-O-O-D. He was the Pentagon's top policy official on Ukraine. Mr. Rood, of course, you're fired. Now, Mr. Rood has also worked at the State Department, the CIA, and the NSC for more than 20 years. This is a deep, deep state swamp dweller. And guess what? He also worked throughout his career. This is really going to surprise you. He was a senior vice president at Lockheed Martin, the military-industrial complex. So this guy, this is the swamp, my friends. Where is the swamp? It's in D.C., at the State Department, the CIA, the NSC, and of course the military-industrial complex, our good friends over at Lockheed Martin. We had John Bolton appearing with Susan Rice at this forum. And in that discussion that he was involved in, he said that his testimony would not have made any impact on the trial outcome in the Senate for the trial impeachment of President Trump. He says that his testimony would not have had any impact at all on the trial's outcome. He also says that the Democrats committed impeachment malpractice. Impeachment malpractice in their attempt to carry out the impeachment on Trump. So, yeah, maybe now we should have let him testify if that's what he was going to say. Now, we also get Susan Rice commenting after Bolton makes that statement that his testimony would not have had any impact on the trial and that the Dems committed impeachment malpractice. Susan Rice retaliated to that comment by saying, quote, listen to this. You're not going to believe this. These words came out of Susan Rice's mouth. This is the woman who wrote the Cover Your Ass letter and signed off on hundreds of unmaskings. Susan Rice says, quote, it's inconceivable to me that if I had firsthand knowledge of gross abuse of presidential power, that I would withhold my testimony. Well, I'm glad to hear she feels that way, aren't you? Susan Rice says it's inconceivable to her that if she had firsthand knowledge of gross abuse of presidential power, that she would withhold her testimony. So she's saying that, hey, if I had knowledge of presidential abuse of power, I would absolutely come out and say it. That's good, because she's probably going to get the opportunity to have a sit-down chit-chat with Mr. Durham, who will probably ask her about what Obama knew and when he knew it. And then she can tell him all about the abuse of presidential power by Barack Hussein Obama. Let's see if she feels the same way when she's sitting across from Mr. Durham getting the hot light treatment. John Brennan, Mr. Potato Head, over there on MSNBC, saying that Trump voters are essentially debased people. Did you know that? Did you know that we're all debased people? Mr. Potato Head, Trump voters are debased people. Very nice. Very nice. Well, you're going to jail, Mr. Potato Head. Prepare yourself. I'm absolutely certain that Mr. Brennan, Mr. Potato Head, is going to jail. Let's see. Well, we have Hiawatha at the beginning of her campaign said she would never take so much as a dime from a super PAC. Not a dime from a super PAC. Oh, but now that she's bleeding red ink and she knows that her campaign's about to end unless she comes up with some cold, hard cash, she's decided now that she's going to take super PAC money. And when asked about that, she said, well, I was the one out there trying to get everyone else to commit not to taking super PAC money, but none would go along with me. So they're all taking super PAC money, so it's okay now that I take super PAC money. Well, Bernie doesn't take money from super PACs either, because he doesn't need to. We have Alec Baldwin. Alec Baldwin. He's trashing the Democratic candidates and admitting they can't beat Trump. We have Whoopi Goldberg. This is another episode of Democrats turning on themselves, just as we saw in the debate last night. Whoopi Goldberg dumping on Ocasio-Cortez for ageism, criticizing her for bashing Pelosi galore. Well, you know, I have some good news for you, Whoopi. You may not have to worry about Ocasio-Cortez very much longer because she's facing 12 challengers in her district. And a couple of them, most of them are just freaks. But there's 3 or 4 that are very, very solid. A couple of Democrats, a couple of Republicans. No, I don't really think Ocasio-Cortez is going to win re-election. I really don't. She's facing a lot of challenges, and she's very good challengers, by the way. Well, we have the morning schmo, Joe Scarborough, admitting what I said earlier, that nobody laid a glove on Trump. Yeah, they forgot all about Trump. They were so busy beating each other, clubbing each other like seals, that they didn't, they forgot why they were there. We had, and if you want to know for sure that Trump won the debate, just ask Tom Steyer and Michael Bloomberg, because they were both asked who won the debate last night, and both Steyer and Bloomberg said Trump won. We also had multiple commentators, including Bakari Sellers over on the Commie News Network, commenting and saying, yep, Trump will destroy Bloomberg. If he wins the nomination, Trump will destroy him. We have an FBI raid. The FBI has raided a company linked to Joe Biden's brother. They're called AmeriCorps Holdings. They were a hospital chain. They're now defunct, filing bankruptcy, and there are connections to Biden's brother. And apparently, there's a statement made by James Biden, Joe Biden's brother, where he allegedly promised to exploit his brother's position as vice president to bring in international investors. Oh my, my. Not looking good for Burisma Joe and the fam. Thanks for tuning in. Be back tomorrow with more TowerGate. See you. Bye.